Hello, you. My name's Jonti.
And I'm Brandon, also known as B Squared, and this is This Week in Ink.
Each week we'll be wading through the Inklands to bring you the news and the views on all things Lorcana.
Coming up, we have our regular segments, Main Street Market Watch and You Made Me Ink.
And we'll be discussing the latest topics and taking opinions from the live chat.
Hello live chat! So this was a busy weekend for most. The first set championship weekend for everyone. I competed in 2 set championships and really successful on those. But we have a very special guest that also did that. Do we want to go ahead and bring him in?
Let's dive straight in.
Just bring it in. What's up? Oh. I didn't realize you were.
Hello, live chat.
Let's see him. Come on, let's get all 6 on the screen. That's got to be a record.
All 6 on the screen. Here they are.
Okay, guys.
Whoa.
I got nothing. What have I got?
What was your Shandy?
Oh, I got the commoner.
Hey.
For what it's worth, I haven't played in one yet.
Do you guys really want me to get the hat? The whole chat's asking about the hat. Hold on.
You're not already wearing it.
It's across the room. I'll be back.
Anyway, Johnny, how are you?
Mine is sat either in a game store in Brampton until tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Or a game store in St. Thomas until Sunday. Because they're the 2 that I get to play in.
I can't believe you told people wear a bucket hat, you'll win, and then they did.
I can't either. I'll be completely honest. This has been a brand. This has been a brand that I've run since. I guess Gen Con is where it came out, and I do it as a joke. I wore it one time for a small constructed tournament. Did well with it. Didn't wear it the next time. Didn't do as good with it. Wore it for set champs. Won the set champs, and so I just ran with the brand, and people, I guess, liked it. Picked it up. I'm starting a trend. I don't know. I'm happy to see it. If I see bucket hats in Atlanta, I don't know. I'll kiss you or something.
You heard it here first, folks. So for those of you who don't know, then Eric is editor at the Gamer website. Covers all things games, video games, and tabletop games. But obviously, has been super into Lorcana personally since. Right back in the beginning, right? You've been.
That's right. Before
A1,
yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, Eric. I didn't realize you were as good as you are. Really?
If people are going to read my guides now,
arguably the best.
So yeah, been putting the work in, and then somehow managed to fit 4 set champs into the first weekend, which is insane.
I don't know how you did it.
Not only winning it, winning them is incredible. I would say winning them. You top 4'd all of them, right?
I won 1.
Yeah. Okay.
And I got a second, and I got 2 4s.
I personally, I feel like a Stitch is a win, really. But yeah,
me too.
You top 4'd all 4 of them, which is his own, incredible achievement. But just logistically fitting 4 of these things in, they're long days. So how did that look? What did that look like? How did that work?
So it started with which ones can we do? So I'll back up a little bit, because this was me and James from the Citizens of Lorcana podcast.
Yeah, you both love each other.
Yep, we play together, and we wanted to figure out where we could go that we could play every day. We wanted to do 6, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So the Friday one, we only had one option, and unfortunately, it was quite far. It's in a different county, which if you're in California, the counties are quite big. So we knew that we were going to have to get a hotel to go. And then our next game, we wanted to play at a friend's local store that was out that way. So that lined up. The game after that was kind of a backup if we scrubbed out at the second game. It was a really small store, really far away from the store we were playing at. It was an hour to get there. And we just thought, if we don't make top cut, we can go to this other store. And then the 4th one on Sunday was a store that I normally play at. I haven't for a while, but it was a store that I play at. But what ended up happening was we did make top cut, both of us, And we both made top 4. I got my second stitch. James got his first stitch, and we both decided to concede, give the win to our opponents so that they could fight it and go to play our second game on Saturday. And a lot of people think that was really dumb, and I think they're probably right.
So, I mean, that was
I don't
James's
think
first
so.
one. Had you got a map by then?
No.
Wow. Yeah, that was
I
dumb.
didn't. And yes, and we were both very tired, and I wanted to stay and play it out. And James felt like he could not beat the other 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
And so I followed his lead. We said, congratulations on your win. And yeah, we dropped out of a top 4. It worked out for me because I got my first play mat. It did not work out for James.
The third one?
Nothing for him at the third one. Yeah.
Okay. Well, he's got a stitch. So
yep.
Good for him.
The reason that we signed up for so many, and I've already signed up and prepaid for 3 more next weekend. The reason I signed up for so many is because I was not confident that I would get 1.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I needed 6 chances or 7 to get 1. And the first one was GMI Games in Riverside, and it was the biggest. It was 52 players. It was the most competitive because it was the only Friday night one. So people came from LA. They came from South Orange County like me. There was a lot of content creators there. There was Pixelborn Grandmasters there. Like anyone who you would know in my area that's like a pretty sweaty player showed up for this thing. And that was my first one. And I just thought like, okay, well, this will be practice. I need to get one under my belt. I don't have any expectations for this. And then at the end of round 4, I was the only undefeated player in Swiss.
Dang.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that was a top 8 cut.
That was a top 8 cut.
With 50, yeah.
Yeah, we were going to play 6 rounds of Swiss. And then in the 5th round, because I was the only undefeated, they decided that would be the last one, which upset a lot of people that wanted to bubble in. My opponent for that round was Empty Apartment. Who's a Grandmaster Pixelborn player. And he had 1 loss. So I offered him the draw because I just wanted to take a break and it would get him in.
Yeah,
for sure. So we both made the cut. The next thing that happened was my top 8 game was a okay. It was a Ruby Amber deck, but you've never seen this deck. You will never see this deck. And so I was astonished, of course, that this person playing this deck got top 8 at this 52 player extremely sweaty tournament, because when our game started, he inked something normal on turn 1. I think he inked a Rapunzel. Turn 2, he inked something normal again, played Painting the Roses Red, drew a card, passed.
And did you go
okay?
So I'm like, so I've got my Rafiki down, I've got my Kuzco down. Turn 3, ink Dinner Bell, pass. And I'm like, what am I up against right now? Like, what is he about to do to me? Like because if that had been round 1, I would have been like, oh, sweet, but the fact that it was a top 8 game, I was just like, what is this person about to do to me? And it turned out nothing, there was nothing there, but all throughout the weekend, everywhere I went, people were talking about how destroyed they got by that guy. They're like, there's this Amber Ruby that came out of nowhere and he was playing all this crazy stuff.
Now I want to see the list.
It just didn't pop up against you, basically.
It just didn't. Yeah, it didn't do whatever it does to me at all.
I had one of my buddies who played in one on Saturday, a little out of town, and won it. Did the very similar sort of thing. It was a smaller tournament, so it was just a top 4. But he got into the top 4, and his first game in the top 4. He said the guy inked a launch.
Wait,
and,
wow.
And And he was like, and he said I laughed. He said I couldn't help myself. Like I just saw a launch and I was like, oh, cool, I get a map.
Yeah, that's how I felt. As soon as that dinner bell came down, I was like, first I was terrified, and then nothing happened. I was like, okay, so I get a stitch.
I was about to say, on turn 3, with the opening you just gave and like nothing on board, I'm like, yeah, that sounded like a pretty good game.
Yeah. To be fair, game 2, like I also won pretty decisively, but he had 1,000,000 cards in hand by the end of it, and was like playing Dragon Maleficence on me. Like he was doing stuff. He just wasn't getting any points, which unfortunately is big part of Lorcana, I think, is getting
kind of
more,
important.
so.
Getting lore, yeah, that's how you win, I think.
Yeah.
I'll bring this up now because I think this is a bit of an elephant in the room. This is Disneyland Nurse. General question for everyone: do you think people should be able to go from store to store to store to store in Eric's case to compete in these? Should winners be able to win prizes at multiple set championships?
Bit of a loaded question, Jonti. Disneyland Nurse.
Yeah, it is. Yes, I think they can. Firstly, yes, I think they can. Secondly, it's absolutely impossible to police. So it's a question you can't really answer. But yes, of course, yeah, people can go and do.
I'll give my extremely biased take. Obviously, I have a very good relationship with my local store. I stream with him on Thursdays and we cast games together, and I'm very involved. And I wanted to make sure that the people who play at that store every week got first dibs to play. He's going to have more seats than how people normally play. But what he did is he went through all of the Melee records and put together 20 people that play there the most and offered them spots first, and then opened up 15 more or whatever after that. And I thought that was important, and he agreed. But I will also say that these are not store championships. These are not your league champions. These are competitive events that are hosted at local stores. This is not meant for you and your local people to play.
Like, they're not connected to the league.
They have nothing to do with your league, and they don't belong to your store. I mean, your store isn't paying for these things, right? They were given. So these are like official Lorcana events that get hosted by stores, and I think it's really important that stores benefit from that and communities benefit from it. But these are competitive events, obviously not as competitive as a DLC. But I think that the resentment that people feel about like, who's this guy that doesn't even play here, like they're being protective. They're looking at this like this event belongs to their store and the people that play at their store. But that's not what this is.
No, that's fair. I also did similar to your store there. I did it much less technically. I just made the ticket when my league was happening on the Saturday morning and just walked into the room and was like, everyone go and buy a ticket now. And then on Monday, I'm actually going to put it up online and advertise it. So, yeah, but I made sure all of my locals who wanted to play could. And to be honest, of the 32 that I have playing, we counted at 32 because I don't want a sixth round of Swiss. We counted at 32. And of the 32 playing, there are like 3 names I don't know on my list. It is mostly locals, or at least people who have been to the store a few times for the competitive things we put on. So. But yeah, these are a way of getting revenue into a store, of getting people into a store, and yeah, I think that's a fair way of putting it. And yeah,
I totally understand the feeling of like, I've never seen this person before, and they came and won a stitch that I could have won, but you could have won it. Like, I didn't take a stitch from anyone. I won it. You know.
Yeah.
And
for the most part, I don't think you took a seat from someone because, a lot of these tournaments, to be honest with you, are small, right? Yes. Like Brandon, you were saying one of yours was 12 people.
Yes, yeah.
So it's not like outsiders have took seats off people there, you know.
Yeah, so I can sympathize with Disneyland Nurse because that very first set champs that I went to, there were a group of players that came in that we obviously didn't know. It was an extremely small set champs, and there was this feeling of like, I don't want these people to come in. You know, they drove like 2 hours to get here, and then walk out with the championship mat. And luckily, they didn't. But in my opinion, as long as outsiders aren't taking seats from people who are normally at that store playing, everybody should have a chance. Like, it's a competition. Like, it doesn't, everybody has the chance to earn the stitch. And I don't want to say like get good, but like that's just kind of that's
but
what
get good.
like that's just kind of what it comes down to, right? Like everybody has the opportunity to play. This is not a league promo that gets handed out for the points that you earn. Like, these are very highly desirable cards and mats that are earned. And I don't think there's anything wrong with somebody like wanting to go to multiple different stores and earn as many of these as possible. The Illumiteers brings up a great point in chat. It's also like just a great experience to be able to go and meet new people. I wouldn't have been able to meet the guys and girls that came in that we didn't know and talk to them and had an awesome time with them. It was actually really funny. Earlier today, somebody in another Discord messaged me and was like, hey, these people came into our set champs on Sunday and said that they had just played in a set champs in your area, and they showed me the picture of the top 8, and I was like, I know those guys. Like, I met those guys yesterday. It's so cool to see them like doing well in another place. And so I don't know. I think it's totally fine for people to be able to compete as much as they want to in as many set champs as they want to, so long as they aren't taking seats from people who regularly go to that league. But we don't struggle with that in this area. We were more scared that we weren't even going to get 8 for the things to fire. So we were encouraging people to come out of town and show up at the league so we could even have the tournament.
And that's also the store's responsibility to make sure that that happens. You know, like if I sign up for something, like I'm not going to go ask everyone that plays there and make sure they got in first.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. It's down to the store to do that. As long as you hand elephant to the room, please talk about intentional draws. We will. That is on the docket today. Don't worry. As of right now, this is the most competitive Lorcana we have. I
wouldn't say that.
Yes, but
officially endorsed, yes, but definitely not unofficially.
I saw some real jank stuff going on that you would never see at even like anybody's 1K that they are running is going to be way more professional than some of the stuff I saw happening in these 4 events. I mean, one of ours, we just played Swiss. We did not cut. And I'm sure that's happening.
Really?
Yep. Yeah. So we played Swiss until someone was undefeated, which took 5 rounds. And then they just let Melee decide who the top 4 were.
Wow. I mean, that's wrong.
Okay.
But
right.
Like, if you're all okay with it, then whatever.
Yeah.
Not really. But they said our options were to just play Swiss, or after top cut, everyone comes back tomorrow to finish it.
So the one I'm playing in tomorrow has preemptively told us that the top cut will not happen tomorrow. It's going to happen a week on Wednesday, in fact, like after the championships are meant to have been done.
Wow.
If you know ahead of time, and you would, if that's the terms you accept.
Yes. So the thing is, it's a 4-hour round trip. I am not available next Wednesday. So the best I'm going to get tomorrow is a stitch, because it's only for 16 and it's a top 4 cut. So if I make top 4, I'm going to be like, thank you for my stitch. And much like you did, Eric, but on a longer period. Good luck to the locals on getting their mats next week, because I'm not driving back here next week to possibly get a mat. So so it's not great, but
another one was
a chance to get a stitch.
In my last game, the store owner was competing.
Okay.
Ooh, owner? Were they the judge?
They had brought a friend that does not work there to be the judge.
Okay.
And this was also the owner that scolded me for IDing.
Yeah. So I
Like,
mean,
took a
yeah,
break from his
what was
game to
his
give me a
record?
lecture about IDing. He made top cut.
Okay.
He almost got a stitch at his own store.
yeah. Yeah, it's a
What do you
tricky
think
one.
about that, Jonti?
It's a tricky one. That so our rule in my store is Tim won't play in anything that's competitive. My boss, the owner, won't play in anything competitive, but staff can. So like I can play if I'm not working, I can play in tournaments that we put on, and that feels fine, I guess. Like maybe if I was winning everyone, it maybe wouldn't, but luckily I'm not.
I mean,
very
he
good.
was pausing his game to get up and run the cash register for customers.
Oh yeah.
Oh
That's
yeah, I
just-
don't like that.
That can't happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not playing in our one because it specifically states you need a judge, and I'm pretty much the only person there who's confident enough in it, to judge it. So, and I'm happy to as well. Like I enjoyed the process. So
He was also running the melee and made a joke about recycling if he didn't like his matchup.
Wow, man,
This is getting worse.
Yeah.
The more I learn.
Oh, one more about that one, and I'll leave this guy alone. And that was the one I won. In our final game, in game 3 of the final, my opponent does his mulligan, draws 7. Where it's a mirror match. We're both Ruby Amethyst, and pulls an amber blue out of his hand and puts on the table. And he goes, "Oh, this is one of the owner's guy is Eric. This is one of Eric's cards. We played last round. It must have gotten into my deck. Can I draw another card?"
Oh, geez.
Did you ask for a deck check after that?
I was like, draw a card. Let's play, dude.
Wait, what was the card? Blue.
Blue, the bodyguard blue.
The bodyguard. Oh, so amber one. So it wasn't even just
a
a ruby blue. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Googly's in the chat. What's your judge call on that one, Joe?
What's the correct way to react to that one?
That's a great one.
They both had white sleeves, and somehow one of his cards ended up in his deck.
Yeah, I mean, it can happen.
I don't know how that happens when you don't trade cards during the game, but I guess it can.
It's like I've definitely done that in Magic, but there are effects in Magic that will move cards around. There's nothing in Lorcana right now, right? So
certainly not bodyguard blue.
Major deck error, instant match loss. There you go.
Match loss. That was game 3.
That was game 3 of the final. Yeah.
Oh.
What a terrible way to win that would have been.
Yeah.
You'd have took it though.
Yeah, it didn't matter. You had it anyway.
Well, that's insane. So of the 4 that you played in then, and Brandon, you can speak on this, and the 2 that you've done, was there much of was the vibe different at each of these? Was the vibe as competitive as you expected it to be? Less competitive?
Go ahead.
Sorry.
I'll say it was different for both of mine, and I think it might have been because in the first one we were the locals, and in the second we were the outsiders. And so, like in the first one, of course, a lot of people were there. We all knew each other, and then there were about 3 people that came in that we didn't know who they were, and they were very serious. Like you could tell, they went in, they sat down, they like hid their cards from everybody when they were writing their deck list down. They were like shuffling their deck, which like totally understand, totally get. That's all cool. I would do the same thing. But it was very obvious that like they were there for business. They were there to win a stitch and to win a playmat. And so it was also the very first one. I was really nervous. I wanted to win a stitch, especially with those guys coming in. The second one, I'd already won a stitch and a playmat. And so I wasn't too concerned with the second one, but the second one was much less difficult. I'll just be honest. There was like some very casual decks that people were playing that were obviously not like optimized. There were people who hadn't been playing for very long. And I think Trey mentioned in the comments, Trey ended up winning the second one. He's a local of mine. And we got some glares for sure for coming in. And we ended up, I think, 3 out of the 4 in Top Cut were from our store that came in, and then one of the guys I think was local to the store. But It was a little bit of a different vibe, and sort of in that I wasn't as concerned about that one because it just wasn't as difficult. But also, it was kind of like I feel like we're stepping on toes here.
My group that I'll be playing, that I'll be going around with this week, they all went. Saturday I had a big miniature event at the store, so I couldn't do it on Saturday. But the three of them went to a store out of town about an hour away, and managed to just not see each other all day. Just didn't get paired up at all, and all made the final cut. So the three of them were all in the top four. And they said that there was also another group of four that had done the same kind of thing. They'd also come from out of town, from another town, and all did pretty well, but not as well, and sort of finished sort of like 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. And they just the whole day was just the locals being like, what? Just like half the room, just randos that have come in and then swept the board. So it's tricky, but that's what these things are, right? Like whenever we've done Magic stuff at the store, regional qualifiers and stuff for Magic, it's always a bunch of people I've never seen before and never see again, right? That's just it's how these things go, especially when the prize in is pretty substantial, which, even though all Ravensburger have done is given us 4 foils and 2 playmats, they are substantial just because of the power of the secondhand market with this stuff. So
yeah,
yeah, it's crazy.
I don't really know what out of town means in California because like everything is so far away, but also there are so many game stores. There's like 10 within 20 minutes of me. And you play at different ones all the time. And I drove my first game, I drove an hour to get there, but you drive an hour to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if we have the same out of towner thing, but I will say that my 4th game, it was 26 people, and I'm sure I'm the only person there that didn't. Everybody knew each other, and I was the one person that wasn't part of their league. There was brothers, sisters, girlfriends, boyfriends, mom, dad, kids, and everybody showed up. Everybody showed up late somehow. All of them did. And to them, this was their league day. It was no different. Exact same energy as their league day, except they were all looking at me like, what is this guy doing here? Luckily, the unique thing I can do is be like, so there's this learn to play Lorcana video with the designer. And then everyone goes, that's you. So I get to pull that card often when people are wondering who's this guy, and then they go, "Oh, I know that guy." So
every single time somebody plays a sudden chill on me, I'm like, "Oh,
sudden chill."
That's the one I reveal. That's the first thing I reveal. The first of I don't know, the whatever dozen or so I've showed off now. Yeah.
Yeah, who can keep them straight with all your reveals?
I'm falling over card reveals.
What was mine? Mine was Rapunzel. It was letting down her hair.
It was the red Rapunzel. Yeah, the Ruby Rapunzel.
Yeah.
Always remember you first.
Yeah.
So the vibes were majorly different. The first store I played at was as competitive as Atlanta is going to be. The way people were treating it, and we had random deck checks, and we checked all the decks before we went into Top Cut. Never did get to do that with Scroop. Don't you just walk around with the little eyes, just throw the eyes at people?
Googly, I can relate. The reveals that I've gotten to reveal on my own see 0 play. so I feel your pain.
I'll be honest with you, out of everything, the first 2, the set 1 ones, which was Sudden Chill and LeFou Instigator, are the 2 I've shown off that actually have seen the most play. And out of those,
you thought Instigator was bad.
Yeah, I didn't rate it too much at the time.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's still not insane, but it's definitely out of everything I've showed off, it's seen more play than most. Yeah.
Well, I revealed the castle.
So
I revealed the castle, so I guess I win this one.
Yeah. I will still say the most played revealed one was it was one of Ready Set Draws.
Teeth and
Ambitions, I think. Yeah. As far as not revealed, but like content creator reveals, I feel like Teeth and Ambitions has probably been the strongest one.
I think now Rebecca takes that slot actually, because she revealed
Curse Merfolk, right?
And that is
really all that over Castle.
Well, no, but I don't consider you don't come under content creator. You're media.
Yeah.
You're media. Yeah. As far as like CCs go, I think it's either Teeth or Merfolk. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
Until Rochelle gives us something.
We're waiting. So you've got 3 more to do, and you're going to be doing them just because, like you say, you've paid for them and stuff. But why not go in to win them, right? Like,
yeah, I think
what do you want?
though I think I am done with Ruby Amethyst.
Oh yeah, that was my next question as well. We'll take a look at the deck in a moment.
Kinda
But you're going to try something else, you think?
Yeah. I not to like add a challenge, but just because like I don't want to play it anymore. I do feel I learned a lot about it from these. I mean, obviously I've been practicing it really hard. Like I've been working on that deck for a long time, and in the current format, I don't feel like I've got anything else to learn about that deck. I've got all the matchups down as good as I could possibly do it. And and I'm not built for the mirror. Like you said, we'll look at the deck. I'm not built for the mirror match intentionally. I'm built for the field, and I can still take the mirror matches really consistently.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel I'm ready to hang that jersey up in the rafters and do something different.
Have we got any, like, have we got much data yet as to like what won these things over the weekend? Because I feel like it was quite spread, but I did hear Baker on Let's Talk Lorcana before saying that Ruby Amethyst is relatively prevalent in the rankings on these things.
Yeah, I was just going by his. So he did a Twitter thread, and people were just sending in their results, and it was mostly Ruby Amethyst and Ruby Sapphire, and then the new spice being the aggro green steel discard.
Yes, that's
which
what
is
I was
my
saying.
absolute worst nightmare, and probably what I'll end up playing next weekend.
That was, if I was to pivot right now, that's what I would go to. I'm not going to, but that's like I like the cut of that deck's jib.
It is quite disgusting.
But talking of which, we'll take a look at the decks. If we press this button here, we should move over. So this is Brandon's, which we'll look at first, and then we've also got yours, Eric. Very similar, honestly, both Ruby Amethyst and a couple of cards in between them. But Brandon, looking at yours here, anything real? Like, I mean, anything sort of shocking here? Anything you were super happy with, not happy with?
So I know there's been some debate in other Discords between whether Minnie Mouse Surfer is worth running over Maleficent Sorceress or both or whatever. And Eric, you mentioned Empty Apartment. I've joked with him a little bit back and forth on whether or not to run minis. He ended up not running minis in his list. And I found out he topped in that event that you went to like 3 hours before I was going to mine, and so I was second guessing everything that I was doing. But the minis put in a ton of work. Like, it's a card that is usually either dead or like wins you games. This is a 62 card list. This is not a 60 card list. It felt really weird doing that because I've never done that in any card game that I've ever played. I've always been a stickler on, trimming it down to the minimum number of cards for consistency, but I never noticed it, never really had any issues with it. And I'll be completely honest, I messaged Zach Bivens like a week or two before Set Champs, and I just was like, so shout out to Zach. I just wanted to rack his brain about like what he was thinking about Set Champs. I wanted to figure out what his thoughts were, maybe what he was trying to bring. And I gave him kind of the lowdown on like, I have no idea what the rooms are going to look like. Things are really small here. I'm really confident in my ability versus most of the other people that I've played against. And he was just basically like, you can't really go wrong with Ruby Amethyst at that point, because any skilled Ruby Amethyst player should be able to beat like whatever other deck they play against. And so that's what I did. I just tested this deck for about a week or 2 weeks. I really liked the 2 Pinocchios that were in there. They put in a lot of work over the week. I tested 1 Scar and I ended up dropping it because I found that most of the time, Well, let me back up. I tested one Scar because Emerald is the worst matchup for this deck, basically. And you obviously don't want Ursula to get rid of any of your Be Prepareds that you draw early in the game or whatever, because it's just an extra card that gets out of your hand. So a lot of people tried putting Scar in their deck. It's basically Be Prepared, except it's hitting exerted characters. I tested that for about a week and really didn't like it because although it worked sometimes, a lot of times I just really needed that emergency red button that I could press
just
and
the
like
unconditional nature
yeah,
of the pad, right?
yeah, like reset the game. A lot of times I was threatened by characters that were already or that were readied anyway, so Scar wouldn't have been really helpful with that. So I liked the 4B prepareds instead of the extra Scar. But other than that, it's like I've noticed a lot of the Ruby Amethyst decks that I saw topped are virtually like I think the most I saw was maybe a 5-card difference between this deck and what everyone else is doing. And it's just kind of like, what flavor of Ruby Amethyst, what spice do you want to play, or what do you value a little bit more or a little bit less?
And I would argue it's not 5 different cards. It's quantities, right? These are the cards I'm playing pretty much.
Well, you've got fish hooks and spell books, and you also have Prince Eric's. And teeth. So I do think that there are some choices here.
I'm seeing less and less teeth.
Yeah. Well, actually, so it's funny you say that because a lot of people that I saw playing Ruby Amethyst, I'm seeing people put teeth in. I'm seeing people add more teeth. I've not been a fan of teeth for a lot of reasons. It works for some people. The only time that I felt teeth was good was specifically against Steel Song or like Steel that's playing a Robin Hood shift line in your opening hand so that you can like with a 1-drop so that you can take out their shift line before they can shift. And I hear a lot of people say how much work it did into like Flynn Rider and into Curse Merfolk. But my biggest thing with those is if you're challenging a Curse Merfolk or Flynn Rider, you're discarding a card out of your hand anyway. Versus if you're playing a Teeth and Ambition, you're still getting a card out of your hand. The only difference is sometimes they don't always, but the only difference is they won't gain lore if you Teeth and Ambition, but one of your characters will be damaged. So I get like why people run it. I chose consistency in other areas over a Teeth and Ambitions. That's why I was at 62. I had a really difficult time finding stuff to cut. I actually wasn't originally playing any Maleficent Sorcerers. I was playing 4 minis and no sorcerers. And then I realized in the Emerald matchup, drawing cards is like the most important thing you can do, especially early on in that matchup. So I wanted to find room for those, cut a mini and put in 3 sorcerers for 62. And just didn't have anywhere that I was comfortable cutting for teeth.
That's fair. And then taking a look at yours, Eric, again, pretty similar. Actually, just quantity difference here in this version at least. But you were saying before we started tonight that you did sort of change it up a little over the weekend. So what did that look like?
So I did put the Scar in for a Be Prepared, and it way overperformed for me. It's a 5th Maui, so I don't really look at it like a different kind of Be Prepared because it can hit locations. So that's really its biggest value. It can also be bounced back to your hand, and Be Prepared can't. And every time I drew it, I used it. And when I draw Be Prepareds, I win games with 2 or 3 Be Prepareds in my hand a lot. Like I never, ever, ever want to play a Be Prepared. Anytime I do it, it's because I have to. But I will play a Scar to win games, So I really liked having one less. I also liked not having a song that could get discarded in the green steel match. So I felt like that was a big difference maker for me. I went through so many iterations of this deck, and I also worked with Zach Bivens. Shout out to Zach Bivens. And he convinced me not to build for the mirror, to build for the field. And so that's why this is like 4 crabs, 4 minis, 4 castles. If I was really trying to beat the mirror, then I would have Spellbook.
You'd be looking at books, yeah.
I
absolutely.
probably would have fish hook too to punish their minis, because when they play a fish hook, my minis become ink, right? And then their minis get to do whatever they want, because my only answer is Medusa. So like I took a disadvantage in the mirror and just trusted that I'd be able to outplay them, and well, for the most part I did. So I can't go to 62 like Brandon, because I think the Pinocchios, I'm not going to run more than 2, and they're so important to have them when I need them. So I don't want to dilute the deck at all. But and the other thing for the mirror is I would put all the draw power in I could, if I really cared about that. I'd have 4 friends and 4 Maleficents.
Yeah, the friends and the Maleficents.
Yeah, because in the mirror the draw is everything. Like whoever draws more cards wins. So I decided to just trust that I could outplay the mirror and build for the field. And while I did play the mirror a lot, I actually played Steel Song the most.
That's interesting.
I played Steel Song 7 times in 4 events. Yeah.
Was there a noticeable deck that you played against more often, Brandon?
Not a specific deck, but definitely there was definitely an archetype. There was almost no steel at any of the ones that I went to, or at least I didn't run into. Like I didn't play a single steel song in either event. I think the only steel I actually played against was Emerald Steel. I played against Emerald Steel 1, 2, 3, 4 times this weekend, which, like Eric said, is a really bad matchup. I was able to win 3 of those matches, and I lost the finals Sunday to Steel Song. Or sorry, not Steel Song, Emerald Steel. But the thing that was really prevalent was like hyper aggro. There was Amber Amethyst and versions of like Emerald Amethyst everywhere. They was just like super fast, play to the board.
I mean, that makes sense if there's not much steel around, I guess.
Yeah, and I don't think that was the thought. I think it was like, we don't play Lorcana like super competitively, and an aggro deck is like the Amber Amethyst decks were probably the second most difficult decks for me to play against, partially because without Pinocchio, it's difficult to interact with them before they gain their lore. But like every game they would get up to 15 lore, and I'm just like trying to keep up. And if I'm lucky enough to find the Pinocchio, I'm playing the Pinocchio, bouncing the Pinocchio, playing it again, and like just trying to stop them as their hand gets empty. And then even one game in my match that decided whether or not I got into the top 4 in day 1 in round 4. Game 2, my opponent had 17 lore, no cards in hand, top decks the one Chernabog that they play, the big Amber Chernabog, and has like 4 ink and has exactly enough characters in their discard to play it, and I had no answer for it, and they won the game. So like they were it was just a deck that like it's just a deck that like I felt like no matter what I did, sometimes they just won the game because they just drew cards and quested every turn and got to 20. They were playing like Baloos and Goats and things that gained them lore when banished also. So it was tough.
A couple of things from the chat. Where's it gone? Infamous Mal says, why 2 Tremaines and 2 Medusas? Why not 4 of one or the other? It's because when you want a Medusa, it's really fun to top deck a Tremaine, and when you want a Tremaine, it's really
to punish yourself, right?
Yeah, really keeps you on your toes.
It's just a situational thing, right? One's amazing for steel matchups, and one's not. So yeah, I think as we get more cards and the game expands, that's going to be one of those things that falls by the wayside. Is this the 2 of each of the red ladies? But right now it's the best thing you can do. You should split them. If anything, you want to go up on Tremaines over Medusas, in my opinion. But you know, the meta's constantly shifting, so that'll move around.
I suppose the thing with the Tremaine is the only thing that really gives her the slight edge, in my opinion, is the Tremaine will always hit something.
Yep.
Might not be the thing you want to hit because they're getting to choose, but there are going to be points where the Medusa can't hit anything on their board. So that's the only reason why Tremaine's got a slight advantage in my opinion. But it's
the way I look at it is the Medusas will win you the board and the Tremaines will keep the board. Because you get, when you Medusa their Robin Hood, that's a horrible for them. That is a brutal. You just played a 5 that did nothing ever. But then once you have the board, the Tremaines make sure that anything they play after that goes bye-bye. So also shout out to Crab.
Yes, Crab did
just
work.
An absolute MVP. If you play Ruby Amethyst, if you take one piece of advice from me, play 4 Crab. Do not ever cut a Crab, dude. They do so many different things. They do so many different things in this deck.
So I'm playing Emerald Amethyst, and all through my testing over the last few weeks, I've been going between 3 and 4 Crab. When I'm playing 3 Crab, I never see it when I want it, and when I'm playing 4 Crab, it's just fucking crabs everywhere. Like I really want to run 3.5 Crabs, but I've settled on 4 because you're right. It just so many things it can do. It helps against locations. It helps against, especially with Emerald Amethyst that doesn't have the challenging power.
Yeah,
the Crab is the thing that allows you to have a chance against Steel. Honestly, in a lot of ways,
it's a 3/3 on the board.
And also,
that's
just
it.
about as well. Yeah.
There's so many times, especially against Steel Song, where you just want 3 3s on the board.
Yeah. We love Crab.
We love Crab.
There we go. So you're thinking of changing out Eric for next weekend? How about yourself, Brandon? How many more of these do you have, Brandon?
I have 2 more. I have one on Saturday and one on Sunday, and I'm absolutely just thinking about changing things out. It's going to kind of be determined on how much time I have to test other stuff, because having basically competed all weekend, I didn't have any time to do the stuff I normally do on the weekend to catch up. So I'm going to have to spend some time doing that. But the reason I'm going to switch is partially because the area around here is really small. And that means that I've put a target on my head, basically, at the part of during the second set championship that I went to on Sunday. The joke of the room was just sort of that, like, I was going to make top cut or I was going to win. And then like everyone else was fighting for second. And a lot of people, like the championship that I'm playing in Saturday is at the actual local LGS, like all of us play at every week. So, and all of those people have been playing in the other ones we've been doing. So they've seen me on Ruby Amethyst the past 2 days. They know exactly what I'm running. I haven't changed anything between the lists because I really haven't felt like I needed to. And I'm confident that if I bring Ruby Amethyst Saturday, like everyone is gonna they'll know exactly what I'm running. They'll know all 62 cards in my deck. And so I'd rather not do that if I'm going to try to win a Stitch. I don't know what I'm playing yet. I have a couple decks in mind, but we'll see. We'll see if I change it up by Saturday.
That's fair. Sounds good. We did say we would talk about it before, so we will. Intentional draws.
Yeah.
This has been a bit of a hot topic over the weekend. I think mostly from people new to TCGs finding out about them this weekend. It seems to me the way I've seen it read is that the people are realizing it's a thing and how that is dealt with. So for those of you who don't know, they're very often referred to as IDs, intentional draws. It is at the point where at the end of the Swiss or towards the end of the Swiss rounds, players who have enough of a success rate to move into the top cut without having to play any more games or without having to risk losing any more games, I guess is probably a better way of putting it, will offer a draw with their opponent, knowing that that's enough to keep them both moving forward and not have the risk of one of them dropping down and missing the cup. For the most part, they are legal. in TCGs. I know Yu-Gi-Oh specifically doesn't allow them. Like it's ruled against them in Yu-Gi-Oh. Obviously, very difficult to enforce, but it is ruled against in Yu-Gi-Oh. I found out this weekend that Flesh and Blood does what Star Wars Unlimited now does as well, which is a draw actually classes as a loss for both players. So it's sort of like a soft lock out of intentional draws. It's not necessarily that it's against the rules, but you wouldn't want to do it. Yeah. But Magic and Pokemon, it is both. They're both allowed, and I believe the Magic rules even sort of refers to them as like a necessary evil. I think I'm pretty sure the Magic rules even say players may choose to draw to sort of guarantee their space moving forward into top cuts. It actually reads something like that. But don't quote me on that. It's been a while since I've looked at Magic rules. So personally, I'm not a huge fan of them, but I understand that they happen, and I don't care that much. But yeah, a lot of people who are perhaps new to TCGs or perhaps new to the competitive side of TCGs are finding out about them and having very strong opinions about them. So, with that being said, Eric, how many intentional draws did you do this weekend?
Okay, I will tell you, but then I'll give the context after. So
okay.
Nobody don't clip chimp me about this. Okay, I played 4 events. I took 5 draws.
Wow. All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Eric.
And also, I will remind you that one of my 4 events, we only played Swiss. Yeah. So there were no draws in that one, not intentionally. Okay. So the first thing I'll say is that none of the draws that I took helped me make cut. I was making cut, win, lose, or draw in all of those. I took draws to help my opponents make cut, like I mentioned for Empty Apartment. If he had lost, he wouldn't have made it. So I did that just to help him. But also, I played 4 events and I needed some breaks.
Yeah, gives you a break, right?
Yes,
yeah.
It was a mental health break because I was playing Ruby Amethyst games that went mirror matches that went 50 minutes. Straight into the next Ruby Amethyst mirror match. It was very psychologically taxing, and that is the environment. That's part of it. That just is what it is. So intentional draws just sort of are what they are. Mm-hmm. So yeah. So I never drew to bubble myself in. In the one that I won, I got paired down to 9th in game 3. I was first. I got paired with 9th because I had already beat.
You played so many of them already,
yeah. And she was a wreck before we sat down, and she had lost 1, and so I said, "I'll just give you the draw, and then if you win your next one, you'll be in." And she took it, but she said she wanted to play anyway, and then I destroyed her. So so like I said, so none of my draws got me into the cut, but I did take 5 out of technically 3 games. I took 2 in one, 2 in another, and then 1 in the third. So I totally get that people that are fighting for their chance to get in literally can't. They're playing their games for no reason because some people at the top took the draw. I totally get that, but those people also lost games and I didn't. I won games. They lost games. I'm not cheating them, I'm not pretending to win games or something. So if they had won games, they wouldn't be in the position that they're in. They lost games. I don't know how else. I know that sounds like callous, but I mean
a little, but yeah, you're right. Again, I think we have to. I've spoken about this before, and it's this concept has been bubbling around my head for ages, and I still don't really know how to sort of get it out.
Yeah,
there is. I personally think more so than any other TCG, maybe Pokemon is probably the other one that's close, but more so than any other TCG, there is a dichotomy between the vibe of Lorcana, the theme and the Disney characters, and the fact that it is a pretty solidly built TCG that can handle competitive play.
Absolutely.
And there is a dichotomy there between the two that I think we're now the more this sort of stuff happens, the more these set championships, the more that the DLCs happen, we're going to start seeing that sort of butt heads even more.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if there's a fix or if there needs to be a fix or what, but yeah, it's they have Ravensburger have built a solid.
You're saying the game is too
together.
good for its own good.
The game is, I don't know whether good is the right word, because I play easy games that are good, but like the game is perhaps a little bit too sort of, fleshed out and competitive, or at least has the ability for people to find competitive lines. I mean, anything can be played competitively. Geez, a couple of weeks ago we ran a Catan tournament. Like, how that game can be played competitively, I've got no idea.
So it's just about making space for every kind of player, like my store has a competitive night and a league night, like you can play cooperative Lorcana pretty soon. You can play multiplayer games that are very low stakes. Like, it's just important that any way that you like to play Lorcana, you can, and they built that in from the beginning. And that's like a really important thing about it. But like, we're talking about tournaments, folks.
Yes. And I think that's it. We needs to be very clearly that, you know what, some of this stuff it isn't for you.
It's not for you.
That's okay. Yeah. Robust is a good word. Thank you, Joe. Yes. Too robust for its own good, perhaps. Yes. And Trey here says it's a very well-made competitive game with a sugar coating.
But that's why it appeals to such a wide range of people. Like, that's what's so special about it.
Yeah. Chad says that IDs can't happen at DLCs because of the 2-game format. You only get points for games won.
That's right.
I mean, well, but like the ID can be, well, let's both take a game each.
Loss. Yeah.
The
only thing it affects is
no, it's still a point though, right? Like, if you take a point each,
you'll each take a point.
In a world where there's bonus points, that's losing.
Yeah, but it's scored the exact same. It's scored the exact same way.
It's the same thing in best of 3, though. If you win, you get 3 points. If you draw, you get 1 point.
You get 1. Yeah, it's the exact same score.
Yeah.
The only thing that would matter is if it ever went to tiebreakers and who won game 2.
Yes, but the chance of it getting that far down the list is so slim, I think.
I think so too.
Yeah, but we don't know yet. Who knows? Eric, are you booked in for any DLCs?
Yep, I'm going to Atlanta.
Woo!
I got in on the wait list, so I'm really excited about that. Chicago, I have to miss that Summer Games Fest weekend, so I'll be working in LA. Vegas is my birthday, so I'm really hoping I can pull that one off. That'll be a good time.
It's not too far as well for you, eh? Vegas?
Not too far. Nope, only 4 hours. And then Seattle's likely. Obviously, whatever happens in California, if nothing's in Florida and California, you have to assume that those were where the big ones are going to be.
It's going to be where the big ones. It kind of makes sense, right? Who knows?
When they announced and there was nothing in California, I was like, well, obvious, like,
surely there's something.
Surely there will be. Yeah. So I'll be there for that. And Florida too. I'll for sure go to Florida. Oh my gosh, they're gonna make so much money off of us.
They already have.
Just keep coming. Tying it into the whole Disney park empire is like the next big move. I'm already paying parking every time I have to go to downtown Disney to buy cards.
Right. Yeah, Florida parking's like $50 now or something to park, and like I've paid $200 to walk into the place. You get another $50 just to stick a car here. Is insane.
Joshua Yell's antagonizing me in the chat.
Oh yeah, look at that. He has preempted it with serious question though, so we have to give it the credence it deserves. Where does Eric get the audacity, the nerve, and the gumption?
I learned it from you, Dad.
Yeah, it doesn't specify to do what though. Just in general, in life.
I learned it from you. Joshua was the first person I ever played Lorcana with, in paper. Yeah, because we both had the starter decks in ye olden days, and I was like, he's like, did you get the starter decks? I got the starter decks.
Did you like meet in a back alley to play them somewhere? Make sure there was no cameras.
Secret.
Yep. We played behind a dumpster.
Has Joshua got 4 stitches this weekend?
No, but we're playing against each other Friday at his store. At his stomping ground. I went up there. I had to play there to sign up, which I think is cool and good. I'm fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
I did have to drive up to LA, which was on a Friday night, which is rough. I think it was
That sounds fun. Yeah.
Yeah. And I played their event and I won. And people didn't love that. A lot of people said, "Who is this guy?
Who's this guy?
Who is this guy?" So yeah. So I believe that's Friday. And then Saturday's my store, and then Sunday is 100 players.
Wow.
Yeah, I heard about this already. That's insane.
Yep, I had to see it for myself. So
That's
I signed up.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty big. That's bigger than like some of the PPG stuff, right?
I'm told that the
SGC stuff, sorry.
Where it's being hosted has nowhere near space for 100 people, and that they will be setting up card tables outside in the parking lot.
No way.
Yeah, that's what I've been told.
Crazy.
Yeah, so that's called The Light. I have not been there, and the way that you signed up for it was you just had to PayPal a guy. Somebody gave me a phone number and they're like, PayPal your entry fee to this guy.
PayPal the entry fee, tables in the car park, in the parking lot. It sounds so legit.
Yeah.
Briefly, I'm not going to say any names here, because I don't want this to be a witch hunt. But I don't know if you've seen there's been like reports of a store sort of like faking the tournament basically to keep the prize in.
How would you do that?
So basically they announced that they were just going to have 12 people and it was going to happen at noon on the Friday. And a couple of the local players were like, "Oh, well, we missed out on the 12. We'd really like to have played in that." And two of them were like, "Well, I'm going to go to the store at noon in case there's a no-show." Right? Okay. So they got to the store at noon and the store was closed. And then the store opened. There's a whole Reddit thing about it. The store opened, and then the person in the store was like, "Oh no, actually, we're running it at 3:00. We're not running it at noon." And they were like, "Oh, okay. Well, we'll come back at 3." And then they came back at 3, and the guy was like, "Oh, we did it. It's done. We finished."
Oh my god!
What a mastermind.
And then apparently like the melee, like if you find the event on Melee, the people's names are like Bend Over and like
oh my god,
made a bunch of accounts. Okay.
Wow. Yeah. So yeah. So
well, you only get to do that once, right?
I mean, is it worth it? For what? Maybe $3,000 if you're lucky, I guess.
Yeah, they're going down, right?
Yeah,
I think they were selling for 600 yesterday, but I'm sure they're going to keep going down. They should go down. Have you seen all these Magic people that are so excited about Lorcana? Boy, they love Lorcana all of a sudden. I wonder why.
Yeah, calm down. But because there is the interesting thing with this. I think, and one of the reasons why I think it's made Magic players sit up and take notice is yes, because the prizes are good, but we've had expensive Enchanteds, we've had all this stuff has already been out there. There's a direct line of correlation there. There is Magic does they call it a store championship. But it's basically the same thing. Stores that are WPN, Wizard Product Network, is the equivalent of the OP format for Lorcana, get a set of promos every standard set, so every 3 months, to run a event like this, where you bring a constructed deck and you play it out. The first place is a full art foil. There are actually 8 top 8 cards, and then there is a turn up and his thanks for playing kind of card as well, participation card. The highest costed one of those, I think, is about $90. And that's from about a year ago, and it's a good card. It's
and how much are you paying to play though?
It's all down to the store. So the same with the Lorcana is whatever the store wants to do, whatever any additional pricing is down to the store. Wizards just provide the stores with these packs. Now, the other thing that Wizards do is all of the WPN stores get this foil for first place in the top 8. But then WPN premium stores, which is like an extra step up that you sort of apply for and get, which we're WPN premium store. They get the prizes again, but with the store name printed on them. So we actually get a card that says winner the Game Chamber and top 8 the Game Chamber, and they go out as well.
It's very cool,
which is really cool. It's great to see your store's name on the card. Technically, that card that says winner the Game Chamber on it is as rare as the One Ring. It's a one of one. It doesn't really play out that way on the secondhand market, but technically it's a one of one card. So I think Magic players are able to see that and say, oh, we have this. Yeah, and ours don't we run these events. We struggle to get 8 people at them, right? And we charge $5. Please standard, just come and play. Right? Yeah, it's standard, and standard's dead. Yeah. So it's tricky, but I think Magic players, this is the thing that's made them sit up and go, oh, maybe this is a thing. And also just seeing other TCG names come into it. Seeing the sort of cost of decks, seeing the consistency of decks. I think it's all that sort of stuff that's making them realize, oh, maybe this is something more than just a Disney tie-in,
I think that's really interesting too, specifically because we've heard from Ravensburger, or I'll at least say from Ryan Miller, that they don't want to attract spike, people that are just coming in to earn promos and make money. So it's interesting. I'll be interested to see if Ravensburger changes anything to maybe I don't know. I don't want to say make the cards less valuable, but if next set championship top 8 gets a promo card, that would obviously change the what they're selling for.
I don't think they need to. It's the first one. It's same with first chapter, right?
Yeah. And that's something else I was going to say is I think we obviously don't know. I don't know what the next set championship card is going to be, but this is such an iconic card. It's the very first one, so it's going to be more expensive than all the others, of course.
Well, let's put it this way: if what we assume is true, and we get one of these every set. So every 3 months there is 2 weekends of tournaments where there is a top 4 and 2 maths and it's an enchanted looking card of a previous set. Eric, are you doing 7 of them again in a year?
No, it was bad. It was bad. I know I can win one now. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I
feel that.
I didn't know. And now that I know that I can, I'm not going to take my chance on just one, but I'm not going to do 7.
Yeah.
It's bad.
And I think everyone will probably have the same kind of, this is super special at the moment, right? It's the first one. It's it is a great card. And, you would assume that they're clever enough to look at the market and look at the community and see the cards that are prevalent. We're seeing that with Big Tink being put on a play mat for the next set. They're clearly looking at the ones that are resonating in the community. But yeah, I don't imagine the fervor that's around this these 2 weeks period is going to happen every 3 months. I don't. It's not sustainable. So
right.
Yeah.
And the prices certainly aren't either. Who's going to who's going to shell out $600 for one of these?
There's no way that a pack of stuff that is given to stores for free holds $2 grand's worth of value every 3 months. It just can't keep up. If it can, it's just going to explode at some point.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. It was crazy when I started thinking in that mindset of every store that was hosting a set championship and getting 9 people was essentially hosting a 3K or a 2K, and only 8 people are showing up, and it's that's a wild number.
Yeah, it's really weird to think about how sweaty some events are, like the 53 one I played in this 100-man one, and then other ones that have 12 people that cakewalked it, and it's the exact same prize.
Yeah. Exactly.
Very weird.
It's it's funny too because I'll touch on this for a second. Obviously, everybody that won their stuff posted about it. Maybe not everybody, but a lot of people did. You're something to be proud about. It's something to post about. But not every stitch or championship mat is created equal or earned equally, right? Like I would feel much less confident going into the set championships that Eric did and winning or topping those than I do the ones that I did, so it's a really interesting thing.
I also wanted to bring up the difference in pricing at these stores. Because it was really unique at each one. So like at GMI, the first one I played that was 53 people. They don't have a Lorcana scene. This is what I understand. They didn't. I don't know this firsthand. They don't have people that come play every week. So they had a full OP kit untouched. And for this event, they just parted it out to the top 8.
Mm-hmm.
So like I got
the whole kit.
The whole kit. Yeah. So I got a bunch of pins, I got
20 of each promo.
I got 2 of each promo going all the way back to the beginning.
Wow.
Yeah. But then like the last one I played at the store where the owner was playing, no, not one, you don't get one pack. Everybody paid their $35 and you either got the stitch and the playmat or you get nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Even sorry. Go ahead.
And then the other 2 stores were in between. You would get a few extra packs. The higher you got, the more packs you would get. I think they started with like 16 got at least 1 pack. But the higher you got, I think for my top 4, he gave me 4 packs at the end.
I think because this is the first one and there was no sort of guidance from Ravensburger about it, so a lot of this stuff was put into the store, put this into place in a bubble, right? And then they advertised it and everyone else did, and then stores were able to look around and go, oh man, we've really overpriced this or really overcosted this or whatever. So I think my store personally, we went a little high on ticket prices, honestly. Like we've managed to fill, but it is something we're going to bear in mind for the next one. But also we've priced out quite a bit. We're doing 2 troves and 2 boxes of product from Inklands. But the way we've decided to do it is that top 4 is just the set championship stuff, and then 5 and 6 get a trove each, and then 7 through to 16 was splitting a couple of boxes down because the way we thought was like these promos, it's enough, right? Like it's like even if they bottom out at a couple of $100, it's worth more than a box, right? So I was thinking that there's no, like, anyone who's winning a stitch and a playmat doesn't really need 12 packs of Inklands on top of it, like it, whereas if I can price down further so that all of these people that are trying a tournament for their first time can walk away with a few packs, I just, that for me personally, that was the better way of doing it. But yeah, seeing how different everyone has done it, it's interesting to think whether over the next couple that will sort of average out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that seems really important. Your way of doing it, to make sure like somebody didn't pay $35 and feel like they got less out of it than their just weekly league night where they get a pack for playing or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I think it's also an interesting way of pricing that out, because the first championship I went to, there was nothing. It was like you paid the money and then there was store credit in top 4 with everything else, but that was it. Like nobody else walked away with anything. And then the second one I went to, we each got these little, I'm going to call them like goodie bags. It was this little, like these little tokens for like plus and minus stuff that they gave us. And it came with 2 Inklands packs. And so everybody got that. I'm a big fan of just like entry packs or whatever. So people don't walk away empty. But since I already got a stitch and a playmat the day before, obviously went with a bunch of locals, and like they missed out on a lot of that the day before. And so I was telling them, I'm like, I'm here to win a stitch. Like I'm not here to lose and not gain anything. But if I make it into top 4 and I'm against one of you in top 4, I'll just concede the game so that you guys can like get a playmat or something. And then I realized, and then they said, oh, the first place gets a box. And like there was pricing down on that. And I was like, never mind, we're playing out for the we're playing out for the top 1. But in how your store is doing it, and it's like the top 4 just get what Ravensburger provided, and then there's stuff all the way down. Yeah, I'd absolutely just concede to my my local friend or whoever so that they could get a playmat or something. And I think it might be an interesting way to counteract some of that, like people just going from store to store and just trying to win like as much as they can. Cause like once you get the stitch, I mean, I guess some people might want the mat to sell, but like I don't know. I really just wanted the card, to be honest with you.
Yeah, everyone sort of weights it all differently, I think. So, yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Eric. We are going to carry on for a bit because we've got some reveals finally to look at. But we appreciate you coming on. Where's the best place for people to find you?
That's the Gamer. I did a whole log of my just like hour to hour for this whole weekend. That's going to go up tomorrow. There's some spicy stuff in there. There's Ladies of the Night. I kept some details back, so if you want to hear more of the details, that's going to go up tomorrow on the Gamer. And I'm also on the Twitter. That's at Epic Schweitzer. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. We appreciate it, and congratulations again. And maybe we'll get you on briefly to show off all 7 next Monday.
All right, bye.
Cheers, Eric.
Bye, Eric.
There you go. 4 stitches in a weekend. Insane, that man. Insane. All right, so we'll jump on. We've got a couple of regular segments, and then we're going to fly through some reveals because it's we're already deep into hour 2. So
yes, yeah.
First of all, You Made Me Ink. I don't have one. I have not played Lorcana this weekend. I know that sounds insane with the amount that's been going on, but we had other stuff going on at the store this weekend, so I haven't got one. But you played a lot of Lorcana, and one card in particular gave you a bit of a run for your money, right?
Yeah, the You Made Me Ink for this week is Ursula, Deceiver of All. That shouldn't be much of a surprise. This is a great card. Everyone knew it was going to be a great card when we saw it, but as mentioned earlier in the show, I played Ruby Amethyst all weekend, and Emerald's one of its toughest matchups, partially because of this card. It's almost impossible to stop Ursula from singing a song when she comes down on 3. You specifically have to have a character that can challenge for 3 already on board and a Pinocchio in hand that you can play to exert her. And sometimes sometimes that's not even enough. I did that in one of my finals games and still lost the game. And so a lot of times your opponent's just getting tons of value off of singing songs twice, whether that's making you discard a bunch of cards. They can damage a bunch of stuff on your board with Storm Reach Ons or Strength of Raging Fire and remove your board presence, or they can sing Friends on the Other Side. The reason I chose this card out of all of them was because the 2 decks that gave me the most trouble for both days were Emerald decks. It was a Emerald Amethyst deck in day 1 and an Emerald Steel deck in day 2. And in day 1, the Emerald Amethyst deck, every single game he would play an Ursula and he'd sing Friends on the Other Side twice. Twice.
Yeah.
And he would just have a handful of cards, and every time I would try to force him to have answers for stuff and play things out of his hand, he would just draw a bunch more cards. And then on my last day, my opponent was just able to play Sudden Chills, make me discard a bunch of my cards, play, like I said, steal damage actions, and get rid of my board presence so I couldn't handle their stuff. So yeah, it gave me a good run. I was able to defeat it Saturday and lost to it on Sunday. So
I'm glad it's doing well because my deck is basically built around it. Like, yeah, Ursula singing Friends or Mother Knows Best is the best thing my deck can do, pretty much. So
yeah.
I'm glad it represented.
Yeah. And it was specifically annoying when they would sing Friends on the Other Side, draw 4 cards, then immediately play a snake or a fox. Bounce it back to hand.
Honestly, I have to
play
stop
it down
myself.
the next turn.
I have to stop myself jumping up and down when I get to pull that off. It's so good.
And it's just like, I'm never touching this card, and they're just going to have a handful of cards. So
very cool. Yeah. Well, there you go. Ursula Deceiver of All still warranting the price tag as well. I think she's definitely come down, but I think she's still up there at a comfortable sort of $30, I think. Yeah. Talking of $30, Market Watch. Just a quick one this week. I haven't really got too much to say about the market in general, but obviously these Stitch Rockstars are out there now.
Yeah.
So there isn't really much data on TCG. Is there any data on TCG Player?
Not last time I checked. That was a couple hours ago. So maybe
I'll have
something is
little
sold.
look, because TCG Player, it's the problem is with TCG Player. Well, not the problem, but it's stores, right? They're meant to be stores, and obviously stores don't really want to be caught selling these without real solid proof that they're not just the ones that they should have given away.
I mean, mine's on TCG Player. I'm not a store.
Oh well, yeah. For the most part, though, like it's mostly stores.
Yeah.
On there. So let's have a look. Stitch, Rock, Star, Store Championship. There we go.
Yeah.
No
actual data.
No actual.
I don't know that one's sold actually.
The listed median price is $970. So, but I don't
which
know where
is
that's come from.
Yeah, which is like way higher than where I see what it's selling for today.
Yeah.
Today I posted one of my Stitch Rockstars up for sale in a bunch of Facebook groups and listed it at $700. I've got a lot of people trying to buy it from me from $500, and that seems to be the place that people are sort of hovering at. There was one on eBay that sold for like $300 and something.
Oh wow!
I thought was interesting. But other than that, I see people like listing it anywhere between $500 and $700 right now, and it's selling between that right now. And I think some people are willing to budge, some people aren't. I'm eager to see if the prices go down this week as no more Stitches hit the market. And then obviously this weekend, when a bunch more set champs happen, I imagine the price will go down. But I'm eager to see where it stabilizes to, because I'll be honest, this is way more expensive than I was expecting them to sell for, even at their high. But people have made good points in that, unlike enchanted cards and unlike other promo cards, even potentially at different events and things, like in the grand scheme of things, there weren't that many of these that went out. And there's only this week and next week to earn them. And as far as we know, that you'll never see it again. So
I think somebody did the sort of melee data, and it was something like 1,600 stores were running it.
Okay, so that that gives us good math. Then.
So that gives you 64,
a little over 6,000 Stitches,
6,400. So. Which doesn't seem that many, and also there's a skill component into getting one of these as well, which there isn't with anything else we've had so far. So both of those, sort of go towards this. So yeah, here we're looking at sort of 6. You see a lot of 700s crossed out. It does say best offer accepted. Obviously, we don't know what that is. But with all the other ones that are being bought, 550, 700, about 250 for the non-champion mat. I can't actually see a champion mat with a sale price here. But sort of 250 to 275 for the non-championship mat. 650 sold there. Best offer accepted on 1,000. Oh, there's 380.
Yeah,
one sold there. So
that was yesterday.
Yeah, that's that somebody's just put it up cheap. Really, so that sort of seems that. And how, like, obviously you're looking at selling one of yours. I actually had somebody get in touch with me because one of our locals who won one out of town is also trying to sell it and has put it on the sort of local Facebook groups or whatever. And then somebody messaged me saying, "Oh, this isn't very good, is it? Having them, they've just won it to sell it when a lot of people would like to win it and own it." I'm like, well, they're welcome to do what they like with it. They've won it. It's up to them. Like, for me, again, I wonder if it's people coming into TCGs for the first time. It's quite common that people will sell promos and use that to fund, cards and travel for bigger events and what have you. So.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, like, that's the motivation on me selling my second one. I wouldn't be selling my first one. I'm keeping it because I'm just that kind of guy. But I'm selling it so that the funds are either going to go towards DLCs that I'll be traveling to, or they'll more than likely go towards the first chapter Enchanteds that I'm trying to buy, because I might be able to get 2 first chapter Enchanteds out of this one Stitch. And I'd much rather trade a Stitch for those Enchanteds, or sell the Stitch for cash and use that cash that I didn't have to work for, other than just earning it in the tournament, to fund something that's like is more difficult for me to justify a purchase on.
Yeah. So yeah, good luck. Hope you sell it. Hope you get a good price for it. And anyone else trying to, and if you're trying to buy one, I would, unless you're buying Brandon's, I would buy Brandon's right now, obviously. But if you're not buying Brandon's, I would probably wait until next weekend and see how they sort of settle. But then they'll only go up. It'll be a hockey puck, right? Like a hockey stick. They start here, they come down once they're all out, and then they'll slowly creep up.
Yeah, I didn't finish my thought, and that's kind of what it was. I'm eager to see where it bottoms to, because I don't think we'll see it bottom for very long before it starts trickling up again. Just because there's no reprint of like these that will ever happen. I mean, I don't know. They might remake the Enchanted in some form or factor, but it's not like a set's going to be reprinted and then there's, you can go pull one if you want to. It's something you have to earn. And after this weekend, they're out. As many of them as they're going to be out there are going to be out there. And there's a huge demand for it. And the supply is going to dwindle, I think, pretty quickly. And once the supply, falls short, then I imagine the prices will start rising again.
Espion here says that there's a skill component and definitely a luck component. Yes, of course, there is luck involved here. But my point is that so far, every other promo, the availability of it has purely been either luck or being able to attend an event. Like this is the first time we've had a promo that has been gated by ability in the game.
Yeah.
As opposed to just being lucky with packs or being able to attend events. Yeah, that was the point I was trying to get across. So, all right. Well, let's finish off then with something maybe a little bit more lighthearted. And that is 11 new cards to look at since last week. So the last thing we got to reveal, the last thing we showed off, was actually a reveal ourselves, which was the Rockstar, which was Stitch's record player.
Yes.
But since then, through the week, we have sort of a slower start into reveal season, but at least a start into reveal season proper. We start off with a 5. These are in a bit of a weird order. They're just in the order I grabbed them from the internet today. So these aren't quite in the order they were revealed. So bear with us. But we have a 5-costed Inkable action song in Emerald. We don't talk about Bruno. Return chosen character to their player's hand. Then that player discards a card at random. It's a rare card with art by Julia Riva. What do we think of this?
I hate this card. Sorry to go to that positive note. I hate it because it's good. Like it's a really good Emerald card, I think. Anytime I see song on a card, I get a little bit concerned, and this is a really good song. It's like, I don't know. The thing that I hate about this card is what a lot of people love about this card, which is just like the discard and random element, like both of those words on the card. Discard is already an archetype that I think you have to be really careful with in a TCG, because if it's too good and like as
it's
an
oppressive,
opponent,
it can be oppressive.
Yeah. It's not fun to not be able to play the game, and if your opponent is like constantly doing that to you, then like the game just becomes not fun, in my opinion. And then, but the way that Lorcana's done discard for a while, and it's not this in all the discard cards, but a lot of times you at least get to choose what you're discarding, or like you can sort of play around it, and that you can ink your songs, or you can try to like get rid of your songs so that they're not hit by the deceiver. This is just like, there's going to be so many feels bad moments with this card where not only does your opponent bounce the card back to your hand, but they also randomly choose, or the card that you needed to get back into the game is going to be randomly chucked out of your hand too, and it's just going to feel horrible, and it's going to feel less about like I don't know. I don't want to say it's going to be less of a skill thing, because there's definitely skill in like timing one of these things and choosing when to play it and what to bounce and that sort of stuff. But it's going to be a tilting card to play against, at least for me, I think.
And I'll be honest with you, you say that like something's going to get bounce back, and then they'll probably, they might randomly get rid of the thing you need. Honestly, in a discard deck that's popping off, the thing you randomly discard will be the thing that's just been bounced back, because it's the only card you've got. Yeah,
right. Yeah, and like, I don't know, that feels like that's not as bad as me. At that point, this is just a better like Dragonfire, I guess. But yeah, that'll absolutely happen too. It's a great card. It'll see play, I think.
Yeah, it's just it's a Mother Knows Best plus Sudden Chill, which is 3 and 2, and this is 5, and it's inkable, and it just a lot of things.
And you can sing it.
And you can sing it. Yeah, I mean, Emerald Steel discard has got a lot of great 5-drops in Steel that are going to want to sing this. they're going to be able to sing this on 3. Maybe Emerald Amber discard really starts to come into its own because of this card. Again, lots of stuff that can sing this much earlier. The Queen being able to sing this on 2, is pretty good. I think. And then even Lucifer that sees a little bit of play in Emerald Steel. 5-drop that makes you discard 1 or 2. Then singing this next turn, the downside of Lucifer really is that once he's down and done his thing, he's a kind of weak card. It's a 2/2 vanilla basically at that point. Whereas if it's going to get more value out of being able to sing this, it's good. It's good or it's horrible, depending on what you think. Good if you want to play it, horrible if you want to play against it, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you want to say the next one?
Sure. Next is Louisa Madrigal, Rock of the Family. It's an inkable 3-cost card in steel, common card, 2 strength, 4 willpower, 1 lore. Storyborn ally Madrigal with the ability I'm the strong one. While you have another character in play, this character gets +2 strength. I think this is a pretty dang good common card. I don't think I won't say this yet. I don't imagine it'll see constructed play because turn 3 is really important in most decks, especially a steel deck. You just said there's shift lines in steel that want to be happening on 3. Yeah. But I'm drafting this all day long, in any sort of format that limits legendary or rarity cards that, fun formats like that. This is a very solid card. I think a 4/4 for 3, you can very easily put a character on board either the next turn or just already have a couple characters on board. So really awesome card, really cool card.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's very draftable. But obviously in most steel decks, you're wanting to play a shifted thing on 3, and even in something like a bodyguard, more like a bodyguard focused deck, you're playing Hercules or the Prince over this. I think at 3. So. I think it's a good in draft, but otherwise probably won't see any constructed play. I think. Mushu report. This is much better than Lawrence, sure, but Lawrence isn't very good. Really, so,
Yeah.
But yeah, good for draft. Next up, a 2-costed inkable 1/3 with 1 lore. Mulan, Enemy of Entanglement, Storyborn Hero, Princess in Ruby with Time to Shine. Whenever you play an action, this character gets +2 strength this turn. Uncommon with art by Jared Matthews. Again, draft chaff for the most part. Good target for the big shift Mulan though. Maybe that's coming in the set, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. It's another action matter thing, which is fun to see in Ruby, but we've yet to really see that pop off. I wonder if we'll see something this set that sort of brings a lot of that together.
Yeah, you can definitely see lines with this one. This is playing teeth onto this makes it then a 3/1 that can smash into something as well. Yeah, there's things there, but I think if this sees play, it's because the big Mulan sees play, and you want the consistency of the shift target. I think.
Yeah. I agree.
She does get. Oh, there we go. Joe there says she keeps the strength boost through the shift as well, which is nice. So if you can play an action, if you can play an action, she gets +2, and then that's a modifier. So she'll keep it as she's shifted. So that makes the big one even better then.
Yeah, it would give her +5, I think, when shifted, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, because she gets +3 regularly.
Yeah,
and
if you shift her.
Yeah,
that could be pretty big.
That could be good, yeah. Next one.
I don't know how to pronounce any words on this card.
Right. Oh, there we go. So it wasn't made me forwards. Yeah. Oh, it's. I didn't even notice it wasn't English, to be honest with you. It's Italian. Oh, I genuinely didn't know this wasn't in English. Fazu. Maybe?
Yeah, I think that's his actual name, even in English.
Yeah, Mulan's dad.
You can correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, it's Mulan. It's Mulan's dad. I don't know what he does. I'll be honest.
This can't challenge. First ability is it can't challenge.
Is it just
second one is you can exert it to ready a character called Mulan, and they can't challenge. They can't quest this turn.
It's not in the card reveals of the Discord.
That's what it says. It's all right. I muddled through it. I know the tiniest bit of Italian, and you can guess most of it. First ability is he can't challenge. Second ability is you can exert him to ready a Mulan. That Mulan can't quest.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
Interesting.
Chat's caught up with us. Can't challenge. Ready's Mulan on quest. There we go.
That's such a specific card.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
specifically having to see Mulan, which I don't like. They're obviously usually less good and constructed, but I do love thematic cards in that I can build a Mulan deck, play this card, and like maybe it happens. And like at that point, if you're playing a thematic deck, you're probably not playing it for it to be really good anyway.
No.
So I think that's fun. The flavor's fun.
Yeah, that's fair. Otherwise, nothing really to write home about, I don't think. Go on, you can read this next one then, seeing as that one was a bit of a washout.
Okay, the next one is Flounder, Collector's Companion. We get a second Flounder. Shout out to Jared, Citizens of Lorcana. He's a Sapphire Inkable 3-cost card with 2 Strength, 2 Willpower, and 2 Lore. Founder's upgraded. He's a Storyborn ally with support and the ability I'm Not a Guppy. If you have a character named Ariel in play, you pay 1 less to play this character. This is a glow up.
It's right. You took the words out of my mouth. Yeah, it was super glow up, and not a terrible body. Support is still one of those abilities that on paper looks fantastic, but just doesn't or hasn't found a home, right? Like, yeah. And I wouldn't. Maybe this is the set. Maybe this is the set that actually gets support cooking. Second bit, any card that. Any card that sort of references another card name, I'm never super hot on, really.
Yeah, we all thought that or Googly says probably getting a little Ariel in the set though. Like we all thought that LeFou would end up like working well with Gaston, because we'd get a Gaston card that would make sense to curve into LeFou, and like that just never really happened. And I wouldn't be surprised if the same thing happened here. Even if we get a 1-cost Ariel, is this Flounder really that great on turn 2? Yeah, like when that happens,
a 2-costed 2/2 that quests for 2. I mean, we support. Like it is.
Good when it's good when that happens, but then when it doesn't happen, it's like, how good is it? I don't know.
Yeah. Support good in draft.
I love the card.
It's been very good in set 3 limited because with the lack of removal, support has been the thing that helps you clear up the board. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I might draft this card just because it has support and 2 lore.
Yeah, I think it's a terrible body to draft with. Yeah. Here's a bit of trivia for you because I feel like it's a bit of a trick question.
Oh God.
What kind of fish is Flounder?
No idea. I'd say Flounder, but it's wrong.
He's not a Flounder. No.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, chat. What kind of fish is Flounder? First one to win doesn't get a play mat. We're not the Illuminators. The first one to get it just gets a thing. He's not a guppy. He specifically isn't a guppy. He even says he's not a guppy.
He's not a guppy.
In fact, isn't that the card?
Yeah, I'm not a guppy.
His ability is I'm not a guppy. Yeah, he's specifically not a guppy. That's great.
Googly says parrotfish. No. I don't even know. You could tell me the right answer, and I'm not gonna know.
I'm gonna see if chat knows. He's not a parrotfish. No.
What fish is Flounder?
Don't Google it. That's cheating.
I've already guessed. Okay. Interesting. That's fun. That's actually kind of funny.
I'll have 4 copies of Flounder to my binder any day. Yes. Angelfish? No. Goldfish? No.
Mm-hmm. Nope.
No.
Not an angelfish.
He's not an angelfish. Looks like a parrotfish to me. No.
Not a parrotfish.
No. Is he a sardine? No.
Nope. You're gonna laugh, chat, when you find out the name. At least if it's the name that I found on Google.
Go on then. What is it, Brandon?
Is it a damselfish?
Yes, he is a damselfish.
Damselfish. That's so fun.
Yeah.
I love that.
Fish. They're pretty. They got their black stripes and
They are very pretty.
yeah. A tang. No, a dory is a tang. I think a dory is a blue tang. I used to keep tropical fish, so I'm pretty up on them.
Okay, I was about to say I did not pay attention in elementary science,
Yeah,
so
no,
I don't know any of this.
They were a bit too tricky to get over here, but yeah, in Britain I used to keep tropical fish. All right, we move on. A 2-costed inkable item in Emerald, signed contract, fine print. Whenever an opponent plays a song, you may draw a card. What a simple little card that just it gets me excited.
Super thematic too. Like not only is it thematic, but it's probably not bad. It's probably not bad card.
Yeah. It's the only thing I don't like about this card is there's a lot of things I want to do on 2 already.
Yeah.
But that's it. Everything else about this card, I'm like, oof, that's pretty good.
I don't think this card fits into like the more aggro Emerald discard that we're seeing now. I think you have to play it in a little bit slower version of a discard deck, which maybe then it doesn't work. Or maybe not even a discard deck at all, but that's the best thing that Emerald can do right now. But yeah, just anytime I see draw a card on a card, I get excited. And then when it says your opponent can't do arguably the strongest thing in this game, or at least when they do, I get to draw a card from it. It gives me what's the magic card that everybody like hates in Commander? Because when you play it, you have to like pay for something, or you get to draw a card.
Ristic Study.
Yes, Ristic Study. That's like gives me the same vibes. It's like
do you want to play the 1?
Yeah. Do you want to pay the 1?
Yeah.
Except this time there's no. It's just if you want to play the song, I get to draw a card.
Yeah, I think Smothering Tithe is another one that's very similar, but yeah, no, Ristic Study is the one he's thinking of. Ristic Study is whenever an opponent plays a spell, you may draw a card unless they pay 1.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is they don't even get to stop you.
No,
you're drawing it. This is the Ristic Study of Lorcana. Yeah. Do you pay the 1? Would you like to play the 1? I don't know. I think this is very good in multiplayer as well.
Oh yeah. Emerald has a lot of those cards that are just kind of busted in multiplayer.
Yeah. I desperately want to go back onto multiplayer madness with Hobbies and Happiness once set 4 is out and just play.
I know he has a bunch of CCs that he's probably asked and has lined up, but yeah, I want to go back and play so bad.
It was so much fun, eh? Yeah, we had a blast. For those of you who don't know, sorry, me and Brandon were the first guests on Hobbies and Happiness series Multiplayer Madness, where we play a 4-player game. It's really, really well worth watching.
Yes.
I do say so myself. I watched the whole thing back and laughed all the way through it.
Same. I went back and watched it the next day. Yeah. It's like I'm not saying it because I was on it. It genuinely was a very fun watch and high quality,
fun, wasn't it? Yeah. So signed contract, I think it's pretty good. I think I don't know what Emerald deck it goes into, but I think it's a good card, if that makes sense. Right, like you say, I don't think it goes in the aggro deck. I'm not sure it goes in discard, but I still like it.
We do have that the new legendary Ursula coming in Amethyst, and Emerald Amethyst just always kind of like works together. I wonder if there's just going to be like an anti-songs deck. It just that like you do this to punish your opponent from playing songs, and as the game goes on, you eventually play an Ursula, and now they can't play songs at all.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's interesting. I definitely want to keep an eye on, I think. Next up, our first location of the set.
Yeah, Ursula's Garden, Full of the Unfortunate, an Emerald rare card, inkable 4 cost with a move cost of 2, 7 willpower, and 1 lore, with the ability Abandon Hope. While you have an exerted character here, opposing characters get -1 lore. This is an interesting one. It's kind of hard for me to gauge because it has very similar stats to the Queen's Castle, except Queen's Castle has a move cost of 1 and has 2 lore, which just as a generic location makes it a little bit better. But I think, You could do some interesting things with this, especially if you are utilizing like evasives or something. You can get an evasive here and just like quest with it every turn, keep it exerted. And now, like, not only are you usually racing your opponent when you have evasive characters, but now like it's even harder for them to catch up. Like they just won't be able to catch up
Yeah.
if you're able to do it. But it is expensive to go there, which is my only like big thing with this. That if you play this on turn 4, then that means on turn 5 you're only playing with you can only play something with 3 ink,
Yeah.
which isn't terrible. 3 ink is sort of a jump in Lorcana when it comes to card quality, I think.
You can play.
But
John Silver here would be good. Yeah, maybe.
yes, yeah.
Maybe I
Resist.
showed this to my boss today, and he was like, "Oh, Jim Hawkins, Jim Hawkins." And I'm like, I don't think it works very well with Jim actually, because it's still a whole nother turn to get
Right.
exerted, and like, yeah, I don't at the minute. I think this might be a little bit of a trap. It's probably a meta call. If you're playing against a lot of aggro decks, this is actually pretty good, I think, because a lot of aggro decks, the bodies themselves are pretty small. Because what this card says to me is, hey, your stuff can't quest, so just throw it all into this location instead.
Right. Right.
Whereas against an aggro deck, 7 is still chunky, right? Like it's, if they're playing, Lilos or Maleficents or whatever, they might not even have 7 on the board. So I think there's something to be said about that, but yeah, at the minute I'm not sure. Get bodyguards using Steel or Amber as a way to try and lock out the other player. Yeah, so having a bodyguard off this and something else exerted here is interesting, but I don't know. It seems like a lot of hoops to jump through personally.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's kind of where I'm at with the card. Like I don't know that it'll see play for the reason you mentioned of like when you can't quest. It's part of why Reckless isn't played more. Like when you can't quest, your opponent just sings or they challenge with stuff anyway. And like especially with this being a location that can be challenged for virtually no downside,
other than just having your stuff having their stuff exerted. But chances are, if you're playing this to stop them gaining lore, they're exerting anyway, right? They don't really.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter that their stuff is sideways. Their
right.
deck is either built around it with things like bodyguards or evasiveness, or it's just like it's a super aggro deck and they're literally just throwing stuff down and turning sideways and they don't care if you kill it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. As it stands, I'm not super sold on this one, but I'm happy to be proven wrong later, I think. Yeah,
I agree.
Next up, as soon as the thing catches up with me, whoop, there we go. 2-costed inkable 2/3 in steel. With 1 lore, Dreamborn Broom, Magic Broom, Aerial Cleaner. That's Ariel as in the air, not the mermaid. It's not scrubbing her fins. Winged for a day. During your turn, this character gains evasive. Common card. I feel like we've seen this. I don't know whether we've seen it in steel, but this card exists, right?
Yeah, they're Jafar in steel. The 2 cost 3/2.
It's Jafar. There we go. Okay.
Yeah,
I was thinking there's got to be one, but obviously the thing that we care about here is the fact that it has the word broom on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Inherently, I think Jafar is probably a better card just because it has that 3 strength. I mean, usually in stats, when you're playing a card like this that's supposed to be a bit more defensive, and I'm saying defensive in that you're trying to stop your opponent's evasives from questing, so you need to challenge them. I think the extra strength is more important than the extra willpower.
Yes, of course. Yeah. If it's only gaining evasive on your turn, it's to deal with their evasives, no other reason, right? It's reach. So, but Broom, every time that it's one of the things that you've just always got to keep an eye on, I think, because there will. Again, I've always said this. We've always said this. There will be a critical mass when brooms suddenly is a thing.
We'll eventually get enough. We'll eventually get enough good brooms cards that we'll have exactly enough brooms that are good that we can all put in the same deck, and it'll reach that critical mass.
Exactly. But I don't think it's there yet. It spends its days keeping the treasured glimmers of the Hall of Lorcana sparkling clean. Cool. Well, good for you, Broom. You're doing a good job. It's cool art as well.
Yeah, I love the art. I think it looks really awesome. I'm just happy to see brooms, whether they're good or bad. They're just fun.
As I said, one a set, and I'd be happy with, this could be the one broom. I think we're getting it more just because of how much support they're getting.
Yeah, because we already have Yin Sid, right? And a little bit more
the
than the Mickey.
Steel Mickey as well. Yeah, the Broomgularity. There we go. That's the point when
There it is.
The point of no broom.
The point of no broom turn.
Yeah. All right. Next up.
Next up is Hercules, Clumsy Kid, and Uninkable 3-cost and Ruby with 3 strength, 3 willpower, and 1 lore. Storyborn Hero Prince with Rush. Is this
It's not
Power Creep?
Power Creep. I was waiting for it. I am holding on to the fact that this is not. It's the closest we've got to Power Creep, honestly.
Probably. I think it's kind of the same thing as Jumba and Veronica. Is that her name? Or Verana?
Vishara?
Whatever her name is. It's like the only difference is the stat and then the keyword. Does Peter Pan have the same keywords?
Not only does Peter Pan have the same keywords, Hercules just has one more. So that it is.
Oh, better. Okay.
Peter Pan is a storyborn hero. So for those who don't know, set 1 had a 3-costed uninkable 3/2 with 1 lore and rush in Peter Pan Fearless Fighter, and this is the exact same, but it also is a prince, and it also has just 1 more on the willpower, same rarity. So, to all intents and purposes, to anyone who doesn't want to be as nuanced as myself when it comes to power creep, they would call this not power creep. It isn't power creep because Peter Pan doesn't see play, and so this isn't power creep. This is just trying to fix the fact that Peter Pan isn't playable.
And so here's the thing: I think I agree with you, and I think you were definitely getting closer because you don't see it much in competitive play, but shout outs to Jay. Anybody who knows who Jay is, Adara's husband. I know he's been playing Della Ducks in his Ruby Sapphire list, which for anyone that doesn't remember, I think is an unequal 2-cost with 3/3 and Reckless.
Yeah.
And this kind of serves a similar purpose. It's just 1 cost more, so maybe in that case it's not worth playing. I guess you're still challenging on the same.
It's turn. 1 cost more, but it's the same turn. Yeah. And Rush is. I mean, I know Rush and Reckless very often get put together, but Rush is way better than Reckless.
Way better, yes. Yeah, there's so many Rush cards that are uninkable, I think, because of how good Rush is in general.
Yeah.
And the extra willpower might make the difference. The 3 over the 2, sometimes you're going to survive whatever it runs into.
It's gonna keep any. If they play a 2/2 on 2, this gets rid of it and sticks around. I'm not sure it's enough. But it's interesting, and it's definitely worth noting because it is the closest thing we've had to power creep in the fact that because all the other examples, Rafiki, they're he's off color,
Pegasus,
Pegasus, all of these. This is just the exact same card, but with 1 more willpower and 1 extra classification as Peter Pan. So that's the comparison you want to be making here. And it's close. But because Peter Pan isn't seeing play already, it's not power creep. Fight me. I know one day it's going to happen, but I still don't think it has. I still don't think we've had power creep in Lorcana.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends on how technical you want to get. I don't think it
technical is how technical I want to get.
I don't think it matters because neither see play, and I don't know that this will see play either. I kind of agree. I don't know that this is good enough. I would think in the decks that want to play this, there's more important things you're trying to do on turn 3. Again, turn 3 is just such an important turn in Lorcana that I don't think playing this on turn 3 is good enough in those decks at all.
The only thing that'll make this see play in my opinion is if we really see enough support for the sort of Ruby Steel challenge matters that's been just bubbling around and obviously wanting to be a thing. If we see a a good shift Hercules that cares about that kind of thing, that you can play this on 3 and just leave it there, or like I say, play this on 3 and take out their 2/2 or whatever, and then next turn shift it if it survives. Maybe, but yeah, as it stands in a bubble, it's not. It's fine. It's a common, whatever.
Yeah. I will say one thing that I really like. I don't know how much of this we already have in Lorcana, so if I'm just not thinking of cards, tell me. I like that we're seeing this version of Hercules because it's just not the like typical version that you see on all the poster art and that kind of stuff. Partially because for forever, or for as long as I've known about Lorcana, I've wanted to see like the version of Rapunzel where her hair is cut off, because I also like love that version of Rapunzel. And although this version of Hercules is more prevalent in the movie than maybe that version of Rapunzel is, it gives me hope that we'll see like the different versions of these characters, 100%. Down the line, and I think it's really fun.
I wonder if it's maybe a theme of the set, because we've had the only one I can think of before this set is Drab Little Crab.
Yeah,
as a baby, which is baby Tamatoa.
Yeah,
but in this set we've seen baby Pegasus and young Hercules. We could still see a baby Hercules. I don't,
that would be really fun.
Maybe that's a thing. I mean, it makes sense to me that you can shift, the older character onto the younger character like that. Like thematically, that seems fine. So. Yeah, maybe we'll see more of that fleshed out here. There's loads of characters that age through the movies that you could do. Young versions of. So yeah, I'd like to see a baby Hercules squeezing baby's finger.
That would be so fun. I hope we get baby Hercules. He's such a cute little character.
That'd be awesome. So, all right, moving on. For some reason, this seems to take ages. There we go. 3 costed uninkable action in Amber. Sign the scroll. Each opponent may choose and discard a card. For each opponent who doesn't, you gain 2 lore. Uncommon card with art by Mariana Moreno Ayala. Ayala.
I
don't know about this one. I think it could be good. I think it's a multiplayer card again, though.
Yeah, I don't know if it makes the cut. I don't think it's a bad card, and there might be metas or scenarios where I think it gets run. I love this card. I love putting my opponent in a situation, like giving my opponent a choice and saying, like, you can either give me 2 lore or discard a card, just because I don't know, it's fun to see my opponent have to make a hard decision.
Yeah.
But it's not a song. It's also uninkable, and it's also on turn 3. And I mean, it doesn't have to be on turn 3, but it's a 3-cost card. And so I find with uninkable cards, like, they really need to be flexible. Yeah. And like, this is going to be stuck in your hand probably till long after turn 3, because there's probably other stuff you're going to play.
Steven says, Ursula Singable, it's not a song. It's just an action.
Yeah. If it was a song, I think it'd be much better.
Yeah. Oh, well, you'd sing this all day long with Ursula and hit it twice.
Yeah.
First time. Well, they always know it's going to come twice, so they might necessarily keep it and gain the 2 lore. I don't know. I think it's worth noting here, and I put this in one of the judge groups, and I kind of got laughed out the room. But I think it's worth noting that this says that this card reads, for each opponent who doesn't or can't, you gain 2 lore. Because the whole sort of do as much as you can. I feel like somebody might argue that if you can't choose and discard a card, you don't do the next bit. But
that's exactly I mean, maybe you were laughed at. I don't think it's something worth laughing at, because that's the thought that I had too. It says like, you may choose and discard a card. So if I don't have any cards in hand, can I choose to discard a card, and then I can't?
Yes,
I can't do the card.
That's exactly how I read it. Not that I'm saying this is the right reading of it. I'm saying that it could be read this way, and therefore I would like a ruling on it to be able to point to.
Yeah.
But yes, you could read this as, I choose to discard a card. I can't, but I chose to.
Yeah, and so I did as much as I could.
Yeah. Yeah, like that's that yeah, I was laughed at.
I don't know. I think it's a valid question. Like,
Yeah.
it's a valid question because people are gonna think of it. And they're gonna ask it. They're gonna go, "Can I do this?"
Yeah.
Or somebody's gonna do it in a game, and neither person's gonna know.
Pretty much. Google says it's choose a card, not choose to discard. If you can't choose a card because
Okay,
you don't have one, you can't fulfill the effects. Yeah,
that makes
and
sense.
makes perfect sense. And I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate a little bit with it, perhaps, and say how it's read. Almost half, maybe not more, of the judge calls I do for this game is people basically saying to me, "Does this card work how I want it to,
Yeah,
or how it actually does?" And I have
yeah,
to say, "No, it's how it actually does." And that's the only reason why I would check something like this, because it's um, yeah. May choose and discard a card. Doesn't the and tie them together? No, and is actually weird in this game, but also it's every and isn't just the A and B. Sometimes it's just an and. It's
mm-hmm.
yeah, but
Yeah.
um,
If it said doesn't discard, it
if
would be
it
much
says
clearer.
doesn't discard, it would be much cleaner. Yes, that's true. Yes, for each opponent who doesn't discard a card. So yeah, that's how it would read in Magic, and maybe that's why I know I shouldn't do this, but I still can't help myself sometimes. In Magic, this would say for each opponent who doesn't discard a card this way, you gain 2 lore. That would be the
Mhm.
wording of it in Magic. Yeah. Sometimes an and is just an and. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense in my head.
I think that's how they said it too in the new rule
Yeah.
things. I think one of the lines is
Sometimes
just
it's
like,
just an and.
sometimes it's just an and.
Yeah.
Which is
And
kinda
then
funny.
lastly, we got this beautiful looking card.
Yes, I was really excited to see this card. Was it dropped today? I think it was revealed today. An inkable 2-cost Amethyst item, Mystical Rose, with the ability Dispel the Entanglement. Banish this item. Chosen character named Beast gets +2 lore this turn. If you have a character named Bell in play, move up to 3 damage counters from chosen character to chosen opposing character. And there's some interesting lore that goes on with this card too in the flavor text. Ink surrounded Belle's last hope to heal the beast. With no other choice, she reached out for it. And I think in the Twitter post that it was revealed in, or was it an article? Maybe it was an article that it was revealed in. There's a little bit more lore that goes into it about Belle reaching for the rose in the ink and touching the ink, and I'm assuming transforming.
Yeah. So maybe setting up the second story arc, perhaps after Ursula. Maybe we get
Maybe.
maybe that's what that is. But because obviously leaning into this quite a bit, I think. I don't know if this card is great. I at the moment we haven't really seen much from Belle. I
Mm-hmm.
think that sees play, and also I look at this card and I think of the lamp from set 3.
Yeah.
I was a big champion of that until I played it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try not to make that same mistake again.
Yeah. Yeah, I like this card because it's pretty more than the ability. It just kind of goes back to the like it names a specific character,
Yeah.
and as soon as you do that, the card becomes much more difficult to play. Even though Beast, I mean, there's very playable Beast cards in Steel, and Amethyst Steel is a very playable ink combination, but I don't know if the moving damage counters will be fleshed out entirely this set, and if it'll have legs or not. Even if it does, I don't know if this is worth running, because it is kind of a lot of pieces to put together. You'd have to be running Beast, and you'd have to be running. I don't know. Maybe it does, because you don't want your Tragic Beast to be damaged, right? So, like, if your Tragic Beast is damaged and not drawing you cards, you can play this, remove the damage, put it on something else, and now
You can
he's
move the damage, but
damaged.
then they're still going to get a turn to hit it before you get the draw off it the next turn, right? So
Sure, yeah, but I mean, they're using resources, and like,
yeah, people are
maybe
saying
it's
you
not
could,
good enough, but
this with Relentless Beast could be pretty gross, and yeah, obviously, a full law Relentless
yeah.
Beast is pretty good, but then also you're in Emerald Amethyst that just has no ping damage, and it's the ping damage that's really going to make Relentless Beast be great,
Mhm.
So, what's are you laughing at?
I'm laughing at Steven's comment.
Sad beast, mad beast, effed up beast. Yeah,
yeah,
that's what we're gonna see. A real effed up beast.
They're all named.
Could get 8 to 12 lore with a rush fox. I mean, sure. We're hitting magical Christmas land territory.
Wait,
here,
what?
folks.
Can you get 8 to 12 lore with a rush?
If you have a relentless beast and this, you banish this, make him 4, quest for 4, have a fox come out, hit something, he readies, quests again for 4, and then then something else already on the board. But then you need something to bounce with the fox. I suppose you'd have to have something that you could hit into something and it not die. He readies, quest for 4, play fox, bounce that other thing back, hit something else, he readies, quest for 4. I mean, yeah, great.
Yeah, tell me how that goes.
Yeah, film it, record it when it happens and show me. Yeah. You have Helga for ping, but Helga only pings things that are damaged.
Yeah.
That's
the most difficult part about all of this is actually getting stuff damaged, because
damaged and stuff,
so frequently in this game things don't stay damaged, and even in the decks that utilize the cards that care about damaged characters like Rapunzel have to play characters that enter damaged like Mother Gothel to like get the most use out of it. Obviously, like Rapunzel sees play in Steel Song, and I mean, when you have 6 willpower on a character like Fox, or Robin Hood, it's a little bit easier to do that. But even then, Robin Hood can just get Medusa or Dragonfired or whatever. So
I feel like there's a very conscious decision to put this in a color that is not like as part of that Emerald Steel, relentless and pinging. Like it seems like a conscious decision. Amethyst Beast can come rocking up and be great and instantly make this more playable. But as it stands right now, I think this is a beautiful, useless card.
I wouldn't be surprised. I think Beast is one of the characters that has some of the most cards in the game. It's not the character that has the most cards in the game, but it's in like the top 5 or something.
It's definitely up there now, right? 5.
I don't remember. I'd have to look it up.
I will look it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 beasts. There is also a Beast is Mine action and an enchanted. But there are 6 and Beast Mirror as well. So 6. Yeah. There's 4 beasts. No, there's 6 beasts. Just counted them. You're probably forgetting about Wolfsbane.
I was going to say there's 2 Emerald ones.
Which is the legendary from set 1. What does he do again? Does he go with this thing? Are we coming on to something now?
Give something reckless, I think.
Rush, and when you play it, exert all opposing damaged characters.
Okay,
it's damaged again. It's wrong. Like it wants to be an Emerald Steel, doesn't it?
I guess.
5 cost uninkable. Yeah. So there we go. Nice to have some reveals, to be honest, to talk about. It's been a while. I feel like next week is probably all we're gonna. Oh, where'd you put your hand on that so quick?
So I after my first set championship, I got $90 store credit, and a bunch of places got a restock of the first chapter. So I was like, give me one of those boxes. I'm looking for Enchanteds, and all of the cards that I opened are here, and I'm sorting.
So you're looking for Enchanted and you got a $2 legendary.
I got some pretty I pulled a Rapunzel, I got a Carefree Stitch, I got a foil Fishbone Quill, which is like $11 or something. Like some of the foils are pretty expensive. It's kind of cool, but actually I have it right here. I basically pulled, so this is kind of funny. I basically pulled like half of Steel Song. There was like Rapunzel, Stitch, the Tinkerbell, A Whole New World, Ariel. So it was kind of funny opening. I was like, do I just run Steel Song?
Eric's saying that he forgot to mention one of his prize packs had an enchanted Chernobog in, just because, why not?
That's pretty nice.
Awesome. Stephen says, is this a good number of reveals per week? Yes. But if it stays this way, we'll be revealing set 4 in September. It isn't going to. I wouldn't be surprised if next week's show we have 30
a lot more
to
reveals
look at, and the week after that we have like 50 or 60 to look at. I feel like that's how it's going to go. So
yeah,
we'll get ready for it.
A bunch every week, or we're gonna get a decent amount every week, and then they're just gonna drop 100 of them on us.
Yeah, could go either way. We'll find out very soon. But until then, what's your week in ink look like, Brandon?
I'm skipping League this week because I'm exhausted from this weekend. Like I said, I have a lot of other stuff that I need to do. So I'm not going tomorrow, but I have 2 more set championships, Saturday and Sunday. One of them, the one on Saturday, is at the local LGS that I go to every week. So it'll be exciting to play with a bunch of people. We should have a pretty good turnout there. Don't know what I'm playing. Don't know if I'll figure out what I'm playing by the time I get there. And Sunday, I have one in the same area that I played in this past Sunday, but at a different store. And that one's probably going to be pretty big because I think there's a bunch of people. I mean, there's a bunch of people coming from where we're at. There's, of course, all the players that's going to be in that larger city that the thing is already in. Then I think there's actually more players coming from Texarkana, which is about an hour and a half or 2 hours down to play in that as well. Mm-hmm. So I think there's going to be probably the sweatiest tournament that I'll go to.
Yeah, I think it's fun being in a bigger one as well. You know, like it's a good atmosphere, sure. Even if you don't necessarily do it, makes it harder. It's a good atmosphere. So yeah.
And at this point, like everything's icing to me. Sure. Like I've done my 100%. Thing. I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna have fun. If I don't place well, oh well. I'm around a bunch of friends, and like there's even some people in Texarkana. Jacob from Ready Set Draw. He's there.
He did say he was maybe coming out for that one. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I don't know if he's gonna come down or not, but if he does, it'll be great to see him. And of course, I know a lot of the other people that are coming from there, so it'll be fun. It'll be interesting.
Yeah. Steven says, "I've heard good things about Texarkana Podcast Studio. Tell you what, the most niche ad read in the whole of Lorcana, that one, isn't it?
Yes.
If you happen to be in this very specific area and need a podcast studio,
we got you covered.
We love those guys. Same for me, really. You say you've got 2 more. I have my 2. I get tomorrow night. I'm playing in one, and then Sunday I'm playing in one, and then Saturday I'll be judging the one at my own store. So I don't know numbers for mine, honestly. But I don't think they're huge. So I'm going to get my head down and try and play and try not to bottle it. I bottle it. I'm a bottler. I'm terrible. I get a couple of wins and then I shake and lose it. So hoping not to do it, but expecting to, and we'll see.
It's tough. Like the first set championship, I wouldn't say I was a nervous wreck, but I was definitely having to like keep myself calm, just like tell myself, be confident in myself. You've played, this matchup multiple times, you know your lines, and it's stressful. I get it. So good luck on the on your stuff.
Hopefully next week I'll have a stitch to show you, but if not, I'll have enjoyed myself and glad I did it. And and I'll probably have some stories from my judging as well. So that'll be fun.
Yeah.
There we go. Where can people find you, Brandon?
You guys can find me pretty much everywhere at B224. I have a YouTube channel. I cover Lorcana stuff. I'm probably going to try to get some videos out on some of these card reveals now that we're getting some card reveals, probably after set championships. And then as soon as all the new stuff drops, I'll be making videos on all the new stuff. So be looking forward to that. You can follow me. I'm really active on Twitter. Try to be active on Instagram, but I fail at that a little bit. So follow me in those places. Interact with me, talk with me. I like interacting with everybody, but yeah.
Awesome. Thanks very much. Until next week in ink.
That was This Week in Ink.